Welcome to High Infidelity, the best cheating videos on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's get into the video.
I, 37 male, found out my wife, 33 female, has been cheating. Confronting her about it has opened up other horrible truths. My wife and I have been married for 16 years. Almost 14 years of marriage. Our family consists of 2 girls. One is biologically mine. In every other manner, the other is mine. I adore them all with every fiber of my soul. I brought my wife to have her brows microbladed a few weeks ago, a source of great insecurity for her, during which I wanted to spend the evening eating and having fun in the city, simply to enjoy one other's company on a rare date night. She left her phone with me while she went through the operation. After a while, a notice appeared. It was my stepdaughter calling. Despite the fact that I have no idea how to use Snapchat, I thought it would be fun to surprise her with a response from Dad rather than Mom. It took a few moments, but I was able to send her a silly photo back. I ended up in her chat area after submitting. At first sight, it seemed to be nothing. But then I saw a name I've always despised. We'll refer to him as. I was hesitant at first, not wanting to be the sort of person that snoops through her phone, but curiosity got the better of me. What I saw astounded me. They had lengthy discussions regarding a recent tryst. I'll keep the specifics to myself for the time being, but let us just say it was about oral. I couldn't help but keep reading. It was challenging for a variety of reasons. Aside from the apparent treachery, as I've discovered with Snapchat, chunks will erase automatically. As a result, the dates moved about wildly, and facts from the past were few. What I did understand was that it had occurred a few times in the previous months, including on my birthday when I was sleeping upstairs. I work very early. Birthdays aren't as thrilling or meaningful to me as they used to be. That's what age does to you. It did, however, sting a bit more than usual. In between the flirtation and information, there were images, nothing too explicit, but obviously troubling, and the most damaging was probably how she spoke about me. Certainly nothing good, and at best just partly truthful, at worst outright falsehoods or deceptive remarks. She reached a point in her operation when she needed to take a break, so I hung up the phone. She questioned, visibly disturbed, what was wrong. I didn't want to make a spectacle in public or include the poor lady doing the surgery in our shambles, so I simply told her I wasn't feeling well and needed some fresh air. I spent the remainder of the operation, approximately 2 hours, strolling about downtown, trying to figure out what to do next. To both of our dismay, I informed her after the surgery that we'd have to put the other plans on wait. I had planned to talk about it when we got home, but by the time we got to our vehicle, I couldn't stop myself. I told her what I had seen. I advised her not to touch her phone because I wanted to go through everything with her one by one, and I didn't want her erasing or deleting anything from her phone. We shouted and wept all the way home. When we got home, we set up the kids and proceeded to our room, where I dived in headlong. I demanded that she unlock her phone and hand it over to me, which she grudgingly did. That's when things became even more difficult. She confessed about adultery on many times in the basement, but when I dug more into the phone, I discovered a few of additional concerns. It turns out that when we were dating, before we married, she had been with a college acquaintance who I had always suspected, but she had always denied. She, claims that they did not have relations. Only oral communication, making out, and so forth. We seem to differ on the definition of, thus this is a sensitive matter. Hearing this, my thoughts wandered, and I started to inquire about any and all situations in which she could have been able to cheat. Except for one item, nothing too important. She didn't get home until almost 2 a.m. One night after work years ago. I recall asking her where she had gone. She informed me that she was leaving. Nothing else. Despite my concerns, I let it go for the time being in my new relationship naivety. But it persisted in the back of my mind and erupted that night. She tightened up as I requested, something between fury and pain. She began to weep, and I believed that this was the last straw in our relationship. Instead, in fairness to her, it was the account of her assault, which she had never told anybody. She sobbed. I sobbed. We held each other for the rest of our lives. I felt like the biggest jerk in the world, but being devastated and betrayed by the other accounts of her true adultery outside of the attack. I informed her that she was not to blame for the assault and that, despite my present feelings, I would never hold it against her in the future. What type of would do anything like that? We came to a halt in our argument at that point because we were both fatigued. During the next few days, We made every effort to be nice and repair as many bridges as we could. The problem was that, as previously said, I am not well versed in the world of social networking. I don't use them very much, if at all, for some reason. She is, and she has a large following on a variety of social media sites. She has taken use of such forums in order to create sympathy for herself. She sends cryptic texts about how sad she is, how everything has gone wrong, and how dreadful her depression is at the moment, without providing any information about what she is feeling. Now, our friends are sympathetic to her despite the fact that they are unaware of the truth, whilst I seem to be the careless husband who is causing her distress. I've seen several comments on how I may be the root of the problem. Now that I think about it, I realize that I'm not wholly blameless in this circumstance. I put in a lot of hours in my job. The hours might be erratic at times. I've had to move my disabled mother and brother into our house in order to care for them, and my wife has been quite supportive in this endeavor. In addition, I'm dealing with some personal health issues right now. Moreover, I accept that, as a consequence of these considerations, I have not been the most attentive husband to her in terms of emotional and attention. I've tried, but it's been difficult at times since life gets in the way. However, the reality is that I really did want to. I'm just not certain that she does, and I don't believe it exonerates her of her infidelity. I'm at a loss for what to say at this point. There seems to be a wrong way to gaze in every direction I turn. I don't want to be apart from my wife for an extended period of time. Having to be away from my girls is something I despise. As a result of her assault revelation, she has suffered an emotional toll that no woman should have to endure. I don't want to forsake her when she is in need, but I'm not going to sit around and be either. The ability to belittle and mislead, just to brush it off and declare it, isn't a big problem. I'm lost and don't know where else to turn for help. As a result, I took the terrifying step of coming here, something for which I was completely unprepared. Because this seems to be an alarming tendency, should I file for divorce at this point, whether I stay with my wife despite the betrayal, I'm left with the question of how I can be a better husband for her in her hour of need. If or not I should tell my friends and family the truth in order to save face, or whether it would be termed shaming her, is up to you. Please provide a hand. I'm completely lost on what to do. Edit 1. I've seen it a couple times now. I kind of expected it. Her attack narrative, on the other hand, is real. I'm not one to say much in public, but I'm as certain as anybody who wasn't an eyewitness. It did occur. That will have to suffice, and I will disregard any comments that imply otherwise. I acknowledge that I was the one who sought guidance, yet her attack occurred. That aspect has been resolved. Edit 2. I took images of the chats they and I had. I'm gathering proof for just in case and to keep her honest. Edit 3. I'll take this one. When I said oral, I meant she was on the receiving end. She says that and making out was all there was to it. That seems to be supported by the chats I've preserved. However, I'm not certain that's all there is to it, and I have no evidence to suggest otherwise. Edit 4. Okay, I'm going to take the day off till tomorrow. This is all a bit too much for me. I appreciate all of the feedback and suggestions, even those who have sentenced me to a life of. I expected everyone to have strong and differing views. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. My marriage is most certainly finished. It's simply difficult to chuck away something you've worked on for half your life.